Here we have a model of our deep litter system, and this system is used as an illustration to introduce or share the idea of this deep litter, which is an alternative way of building up your compost. A few advantages of it is it protects our litter and our urea from the rain and the sun, and at the end of the day you get a compost that's a lot more fertile and has a lot more benefits that it brings to our soil. Now the model is an illustration of a small piece of your kraal. It does not have to be the entire kraal, because the unique thing about it is it introduces the concept of roofing your kraal. And this model, this is our roof, and it is made from reeds and plastic materials that you could find locally in most cases. If not, you could also use zinc from our local hardware stores. Now the deep litter system can be used for any livestock that you have. And this illustration brings into cooperation our pigs, brings into donkeys, horses, cattle, goats, and sheep. Now, it could go as low as rabbits and chickens as well. The idea is just sharing the variety of the different sources of manure that we get for our compost. For this illustration, we'll work with our cattle, because most of our farmers deal with cattle. Now, what we also use for this model is we've introduced a variety of mulching material. This is coming from small wood chippings, fine grass, and just the idea of this is to just show the audience that you could use a plethora, or you could get a variety of littering material anywhere that you are. The model also makes use, or has illustrated, the key components that we get from our livestock, which is the litter or the dung that we'll get from our livestock, the urea that follows and that comes with our livestock. Sorry, I dropped my cow. Our water that we'll use to build up our compost. Now all these materials will be used in this illustration, and it will show how we can develop all the way from getting the litter onto our kraal and up until we have a complete compost heap that we could make use of. To answer the question of how many cattle or how many animals you could put into your litter, we've also developed key cards or wood cuttings that have dimensions where an animal could stand comfortably and also sleep comfortably in the kraal. Now let's make some compost with the deep litter system. First of all, we'll need to get our litter material. So for the first layer, I will make use of wood cuttings. Now these wood cuttings would involve a farmer getting onto the floor of their kraal and lining up this litter onto the floor. For the sake of the illustration, I will remove the roof from our deep litter. It makes it a lot easier to illustrate. So we'll line up our housing floor. This litter I'll also introduce, just in the name of giving variety, the grass. You line up the floor. The first layer could be as high as 20 centimeters to 50 centimeters. Now this idea would have the farmer line up the floor while his or her livestock is out in the field. At the end of the day, when the cattle do come back, they walk into the kraal. And they help us develop this deep litter by adding manure or dung. Our dung, they add the dung there, and they also drop their urea. This is at night when they are resting, chewing the cud, and ruminating. So they will help us step and mix this floor lining with their dung and their urea. This will help with the absorption of nutrients and mixing of the material. Please do remember the most important part of this deep litter system is the roof. This roof protects our nutrition from the rain and from the sun. So the next day the cattle will go out, and the farmer is advised to have a look at the litter. Is it very wet? Is it moist? And if it's too wet and it's too moist, the farmer is advised to add some more litter onto the floor lining of our kraal. And another advantage of doing this is it maintains or improves the hygiene of our animal husbandry. They stay clean, it prevents diseases, and overall would save a fortune on animal treatment. So the second layer has been put up. The next day the animals are back in the kraal. They drop their dung. They add our urea. And they are protected because of our roof. They continue to step and mix as we would normally do with the compost. They're stepping, they're mixing. They leave the kraal, and we add another layer of floor layer to absorb that moisture and keep the floor dry, clean, and healthy for our cattle or our livestock. Now you will notice the more litter we put up on the floor, the more we'll need a ramp for animals to come up. And please do consider this when you're building this kraal, that the roof as well should cater the height of the animal. The next day they move into the kraal, and the process is repeated of dropping the dung, adding urea, and of course mixing the material. Now this process will be repeated up until we get to 1 meter in our kraal. And for the sake of this illustration, I think we should add another layer. Okay, another layer of litter.